Large-scale international migration is not a modern phenomenon. It has been a common feature of life in most parts of the world for centuries past. The vast majority of those who leave their homelands and settle elsewhere do so mainly for economic reasons and the prospect of better lives. A small percentage of migrants are motivated by other factors such as better education, a sense of adventure, a liking for travel, etc. Historically, the USA has been the destination for the majority of European immigrants over the past couple of centuries. This vast country, now recognised as being the single most powerful country in the world, had, prior to the large-scale influx of European immigrants, had only a tiny native population. It is true to say that European immigrants, including the Irish, who figured more prominently than most, made the USA the nation that it is today. It is clear to any reasonable person that international migration in itself is not something that is totally negative, sinister, or detrimental to the well-being of a nation. In fact, many countries, depending on their size, infrastructure, economies and state of prosperity, can benefit from a certain amount of immigration. But, and this is a big but, this can only happen when immigration policies are in place that ensure that very strict controls and restrictions apply in the following areas. Number one, the numbers of immigrants. Number two, the abilities and qualifications of immigrants. Number three, the character and backgrounds of immigrants. No immigrant with a serious criminal background should ever be accepted. And number four, the likelihood or otherwise of immigrants fully integrating into society. At all times, the sole criteria to be used when deciding whether or not to accept a would-be immigrant should be along the lines of: what is this person able or likely to contribute to the economic and general welfare of this country? Is this the type of person we need in this country at the present time? And will this person be an asset or a liability, a contributor or a taker? This is the only approach that will ensure that immigration works for the benefit of the host country rather than the benefit of immigrants. Sadly, the approach taken by Irish governments and authorities over the past 25 years has been almost the complete opposite of this. Far too many immigrants of all descriptions have been accepted and welcomed here, whose only offering to Irish society has been an outstretched hand seeking endless handouts. Shamefully, successive Irish governments, pressure groups, and the globalist No Borders lobby have actually ensured that the welfare of such people have been prioritised over the welfare of Irish people, when the opposite should be the case. Furthermore, official Ireland takes great pride and satisfaction in the fact that so many foreigners, including chancers, spongers, fraudsters and crooks, have honoured us by choosing Ireland as their place of residence. I am convinced that this attitude, along with the general craving for external approval and praise, is part of the slave mentality engendered by 7 centuries of colonisation. In spite of our supposed maturity as a people, the attitude of our political elites to migrants of all types and to any kind of external approval, especially from Brussels, reveals the opposite: a deep-rooted inferiority complex and a belief that the Irish on their own are somehow flawed and incomplete and badly in need of outside help and influence. To a certain extent, the belief that the Irish are flawed and incomplete is justified, but only to the extent that it applies to the established political classes themselves and their supporters and lackeys. The ordinary Irish are quite capable of thriving on their own and have proved this in numerous fields, both at home and abroad. But there is one aspect of modern day migration that must not be lost sight of, and it is this. Up to recent decades, the main impetus for migration lay in the desire of ordinary people to better themselves. While this is still true to a large extent, migration is now being used also as a tool by a powerful globalist lobby to further their agenda. These people aim to remove all borders, to destroy all nations, all national identities, all distinct, homogeneous, united races of people, and generally destroy anything or anybody who stands in the way of their sinister vision of a bland, powerless, easily controlled herd-like global society. This is the vision of the majority of the EU elite, and unfortunately, they have found some of their most powerful, found some of their most willing accomplices and pawns among the established Irish political classes. As we all know, Ireland is a small country with a small population. If our politicians continue to operate the same immigration policies as they have up to now, it will only be at most a couple of decades before real Irish people become a minority in their own country. The Irish nation will have died forever. We will be a pathetic little slave state, a largely irrelevant island on the edge of Europe, with nice scenery, nice golf courses, plenty of Guinness, but completely lacking national identity, uniqueness, pride and self-respect. We are a proud nation with one of the oldest civilizations in Europe, whose people have always punched well above their weight in all fields of human endeavour. We must implement immigration policies that at all times put the interest of Ireland and our people first, even if it means defying and confronting powerful international forces. We must succeed. Ar yesh ar ai.